You can be with someone who says all the right things, but something inside of you still feels guarded, physically and emotionally, where you're thinking about their reaction before you even say how you feel. And because of that, you start holding parts of yourself back. I didn't realize that's what I was feeling at the time, but I'll share what made it click for me in a minute. Hi, I'm Ty Love, and this is Love Without Chasing What I Wish I Knew Sooner About Love. This is my series where I share honest conversations about lessons I had to learn the hard way. So maybe someone listening can learn them in a more gentler way, especially when it comes to love, self trust, and choosing ourselves. And today I want to talk about something that isn't always obvious, but you can feel it when it's missing. One of the things I wish I knew sooner about love is this: you can't build a healthy relationship without emotional safety. And for a long time, I didn't even realize that's what was missing. Because on the surface, everything looked fine. There were conversations, there were moments of connection, but underneath that, there was hesitation. I found myself thinking, should I say this? Is this going to turn into something? Am I about to be misunderstood again? And then that becomes your pattern. You don't relax in the relationship, you manage it. Because emotional safety isn't always obvious when it's missing. Sometimes it looks like you explaining something and feeling shut down, or trying to express a feeling, and it turns into something bigger than it needed to be, or even something small, like deciding not to say anything at all, because you already know how it's going to be received. And when things like that keep happening, you just don't feel misunderstood. You feel alone in the relationship. And that moment when it finally clicked for me, it wasn't during an argument, it was in a quiet moment. I had something on my mind, and instead of just saying it, I felt hesitation. And not because I didn't know what I wanted to say, but because I didn't feel safe enough to say it freely. And that's when it hit me. This isn't what emotional safety feels like. And after a while, I started noticing something about myself. It wasn't just that I felt hesitant, it was how I was moving. I wasn't speaking freely anymore. I was thinking first, adjusting, holding parts of myself back before I even said anything out loud. And that's when it became clear. I wasn't just expressing myself differently, I was shrinking in the relationship. And the hardest part about that is you don't always notice it right away. It doesn't feel like you're losing yourself. It just feels like you're trying to keep things okay. Trying not to create tension. Trying not to be misunderstood again. Trying not to make things harder than they need to be. But over time, that starts to affect how you feel in the relationship. You don't feel as open. You don't feel as relaxed. You don't feel like you can fully be yourself. And that feeling, it stays with you. And I think one of the hardest things to recognize is that just because something looks okay on the outside doesn't mean it feels safe on the inside. Because emotional safety isn't about everything being perfect. It's about how you feel when you're being real. Do you feel heard? Or do you feel like you have to explain yourself? Do you feel understood? Or do you feel like you have to hold parts of yourself back? And those are the things that matter. Because when you feel emotionally safe, you don't have to shrink, filter, or rehearse who you are. You just show up and be yourself without fear. And that feeling is very different. So let me ask you this. Have you ever been in something where everything seemed okay, but something inside of you still didn't feel safe. If that resonates with you, you can say, I felt that in the comments, and share your story if you feel comfortable. This is Love Without Chasing, and around here, we don't chase love, we choose it. And I'll see you at the next episode.